Hey there, it's Cassie and welcome back to my YouTube channel for another video. Today is special. We're doing the Trinity Stamps Sending Smooches release hop. So I'll have all that information linked down below and I'll talk about it a little bit later, but let's go ahead and talk about the products we're going to be using. Our main image is going to come from the brand new stamp set called Joyful Heart, and I have it stamped out along with some sentiments already ready. We're going to be using the mini cup add-on die and the coffee mug card die. So let's do our coloring. So I've got our little image down there. I'm going to start with some B00 Copic marker, and we're just putting down a wash of color. I typically like to go lightest to darkest. That's just how I color. And then I'm going to come in with some B02. You'll notice I don't go all the way to the edge with my coloring. That just kind of gives the illusion that the image that you're looking at is rounded, and since it's a hat, it's going to be. And then I'm going to come in with a third color, which is B04. And then I'm going to go ahead and work backwards after I get all that color on there. So I'll come in with that B02 to blend that a little bit more. It'll deepen that color, which is great. And then I'll come in with the B00 just to kind of make sure that things are blended. But we've got some nice highlights. We've got some great lowlights going on. And then we can move on to his skin tone, which is going to be a little bit darker. We've got some E13. We're going to put that down first. And it's a smaller area, so we're just going to come in with an E15. I'm not going to come in with a 3-color blend, although you very well could. And then we'll move on to his beard after I get everything blended out. We're going to do the E7. So we've got E71, that's our base color. And I wanted this to look like it's a little bit gray, but also still brown. And so we've got our E71, and then we're going to come in with some E77, and I'm using a lot of flicking motions, as you can see. Now, like I said, this is a part of a release hop, so I've got links down below to the person after me. I also have all the information about the giveaway, because yeah, if we're going to celebrate this hop, let's do a giveaway. And so all that information is going to be linked in the description box, so be sure to head down there so you don't miss any of the information. Okay, back to our coloring. I don't feel like it's looking super great right now, but that's usually how I feel with most of the coloring I do. So I'm going to come in with an E71, which is what I would typically do, and I'm going to bring in some more flicking motions to blend that E77 out just a little bit, and then add a little bit more, almost like grayish brown, strands of hair in there. And so it'll start to look a little bit more realistic, and it'll blend out that E77 really, really nicely. Now we're going to do his boots. Because we did some warmer tones, for his beard and his skin tone, we're going to come in with that W7 for his shoes and his mittens. And we're just going to use that one color, and then we'll come in with a darker W. This will be the W9, and then we'll add a little bit of shading to the areas just on those mittens. But I think those colors, because it's a warm tone, goes really well with the beard. I didn't blend that out. And now we're going to move on to the heart. So I wanted my colors to be more blue and orange, a little bit less traditional Valentine's, obviously. And so I started off with some YR12 and came in with some YR04. And then I'm going to come in with some YR18 for a third tone. So it'll have a nice dark area. So it'll give some really great highlights, some really good lowlights. And then we'll be done with our coloring after I put just a little bit more of that YR18. And now I do want a heart, a couple of hearts. So I'm taking that heart from the mini cup add-on die. I just love that little heart. And so we're going to cut out a couple of hearts. I'm just measuring that on some of the cardstock that I have. And I didn't have any cardstock to match, believe it or not. So I'm going to make my own. And I'll just use those same YRs that I used for the little heart that the gnome is holding. And I'll just cover that paper with that. And I won't do any of the shadowing yet. I'll wait till we have it cut out. But I just wanted to make sure that I had enough to cover the area for where the heart would be. And so I'll run that through my die cutting machine a couple of times, and we'll have 2 little hearts ready to go. And then I'll come in with those same colors that I've already used on the previous heart. Some YR04 is our mid-tone, and then our YR18 will be our darkest shade. And if I were to recolor these, I probably would have done my shadowing a little bit differently on that right-hand side. It's fine, it looks pretty good, so not a big deal, but I probably would try something a little bit different for that shadowing. It just, for some reason, didn't look right to me. But the way it's blended is good. It's just the shadowing, for some reason, doesn't seem to fit for me. All right, so we'll blend all that out working backwards, and then when we're happy with that, we'll do the other one. All right, now I do want to cut out the coffee cup. So I've got the coffee mug card die. This thing is great because it'll fit perfectly into an A2 size envelope. Cuts that out and already does the score line, so I'll just go ahead and reinforce that score line, and then I'm going to color some for the top so it'll look like there's actually some coffee in this mug. And I use the E77 for that. So we'll run this through our die cutting machine. And then our next step is going to be to get the sentiments ready. Now I'm just trimming these out using my guillotine trimmer, but the matching die set does have some really cool dies to cut right around these sentiments. I love that about these, and I love that Trinity Stamps does that. I just didn't do that this time around, but I will definitely have plenty of cards doing that in the future, so keep an eye out. I did cut down the sentiment that says, "You bring joy to my heart." That was one full one that went all the way across. I just trimmed it down, and then I put "Love ya" on the inside as well. Reinforce that score line, and I'll use some more liquid glue to adhere down the rest of our pieces. We'll put our little coffee at the top. And then we're going to adhere down our hearts. You could use some foam tape if you really wanted to. I decided to keep this fairly flat. And I'll tell you what, about every mug that I have made, I thought to myself, I would love to actually have a mug that looks like this. I'd have a ton of mugs, but I would love that. I'm going to stick down my sentiment first before I put down our adorable little gnome. And then once he is down, I'm going to turn that over and trim off the excess from the XOXO. And then when I'm done with that, we will use some embellishments. I'm going to pull in some Twilight Sky confetti mix and put that inside of my tidy tray. And then I'll just use my little jewel picker, the crystal katana that I have, to put those down. And then I'll use a little bit of liquid glue to actually adhere them to the card. I like to kind of assemble them out there and take a look at how that looks, and then I glue them down. And when we're done with that, that's going to finish off our card. And so like I said, this is a part of a video hop, so head down to the description box for the next person to hop to. And if you liked this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.